Yes, we've got a hot mic. We're here.
Oh,
Yeehaw.
look at that.
It's going to be fun. We've got no
Yeah.
viewers, which is probably a good thing. This won't be enjoyable, but we'll do it anyway because that's what we do. All good, responsible podcasters actually podcast, even when they don't want to. Still
Yep.
doesn't mean we're responsible podcasters, though, right? All right, it's episode 124 of Generation Red. We'll get to it here in a sec. Welcome back, folks. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. We are the Kettle Corn of Husker Fan Podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am your host, Ken.
And I am your other host, Scott.
Appreciate y'all very much. Coach BA says, I hate football. And he's a football coach. I get it, BA. I get it. There's been certainly moments this season where I've really, truly hated the fact that I am a fan and I can't just turn it off and not have the emotion taken. But yeah, one of your brother says, yeah, it was a rough week. Indeed, it was. Indeed, it was. We're going to cover that week a little bit tonight. We're changing things up yet again. Scott's going to cover the defense. We'll talk about that for a little bit. I will cover the offense, talk about that a little bit, and then we'll switch gears to the Wisconsin game after we share who we believe the game MVP is. So hopefully we won't be here too awfully long tonight. But of course, as always, we'd appreciate it if you would follow us at Gen Red Pod on Facebook, Twix, and YouTube. You can subscribe to the audio-only podcast and Generation Red on your favorite podcast app. To listen to the audio version of this and all previous live streams, please do us a favor. If you're watching us in the live chat, pop out real quick, leave us a like, or leave us a comment as well. Participate in the live chat or participate in the comment section on demand once this video releases. Our Generation Red merchandise is now available on our website. As you can see, I've got this fantastic dad hat on. Go to genredpod.com, click on the link in the gray bar at the very top of the page, and that'll take you right to our merch page. And of course, get a hold of us if you want to send us an email, long-winded rant about what you think of the show or you think of the team, or telling us that we really need to stop being fans because it's just not worth it. Hey, you can do all that at genredpod@gmail.com, and we may or we may not read them. Haven't gotten many, but we really appreciate all of y'all watching. Thanks again. Got a bunch of you right now on YouTube as well as on Twitter. And yeah, look forward to your comments as we go throughout the show here tonight. So Scott, of course, we know the drill. It's become all too familiar refrain. A one-score loss, this one on the road. Nebraska's only won one game on the road this year, and that was to probably the worst team in the Big Ten in Purdue. Everybody else has beat us, and I think everybody else has beat us with the exception of Indiana by one score. Nebraska's lost 5 games, 4 of them by one score. I mean, this stuff is getting biblical in proportion. You know what I mean? It's almost prophetic. You can almost sit down in front of your TV and go, thus saith the football gods, one score loss incoming. So I don't know. I mean, do you have any kind of opening salient comments, things that are on your mind, something you might want to offload so the rest of the show is easier?
I think I can speak for Husker fans, long-term Husker fans, or even the new generations of Husker fans that are witnessing this last, 8-9 years of misery. And it truly is. I think you said it best. It truly is biblical. It's not even superstitiously cursed. It is legitimately, scientifically, objectively a cursed place to be as a Husker fan right now. Like it's a truly miserable thing. It really is. Like I think there's this collective feeling because okay, folks. I don't have a Twitter app, okay, but I have dipped my hand into the cookie jar of browser-based phone Twitter experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way more regulated endeavor. It takes a lot more effort. And I've been going there, and I've been on Facebook, and I've been on YouTube, and I've been chatting with friends in inner circles, and the general feel I get from Husker fans is we are truly miserable. And I think everybody's kind of just collectively grown apathetic. Like there is this collective sense of, I just don't even feel anything anymore. I'm numb. I'm numb to it. It's no longer heartbreak. It's just expected suffering. And it doesn't hurt as much anymore in all reality. And as a Husker fan base, I think we finally reached that point of like, we're not done necessarily. Like, we're not just throwing our hands up and we're turning off the TVs and we're never going to ever put on Husker gear ever again. There may be a few fringe fans that are giving up on the Huskers in that kind of extreme manner, but whatever. But the majority of us are really just kind of at the point where it's like, you know what, man, shut up. Just make a product on the field that I'm okay with. And it doesn't even have to be magnificent. Just make it bowl worthy, please. And there's just a collective sense of apathy, I think, in the fan base. And I know I am in that camp. I just laugh. It's almost, it is truly funny at this point. I can't even be mad. I really can't. Like when we were watching the game on Saturday, I was sitting there in my chair and like, I wasn't mad. There was a few things that made me happy. Like there were some things that made me happy, but the things that would normally make me infuriated, just didn't. Cause it's like, yeah, add that to the bingo card, or it's the bingo card. Like, let me flip through my Rolodex of bingo cards of the past and see what we've done before. It's just the same story, different day. Yeah, the game is what the game was, and we'll talk about that. But really, just my feeling as a Husker fan is just change the damn program, please. I'm tired of the used car salesman pitches. I'm really starting to lose my patience with just the coach speak stuff.
Yep.
I think I said this last week, or maybe this was a week before. It's not that I'm giving up on Matt Rule, but his leash is getting really, really short for me. And I just want to see something change. I want to see something change. And if that means that I, as a fan, need to stop buying merchandise, and if that means that me as a fan, I need to basically not go to another game. If we somehow lose out and we don't win a bowl, if we don't go to a bowl game this year, I think that there's something that the fan base needs to do to essentially protest. It's not the players' fault. It's not the players' fault that they're stuck in this position of perpetual hell. It's absolutely the administration and the coaching. It's just what it is. And I think there's going to need to be some organized efforts of boycotting certain things about the program, because until the money stops pooling into the program at a consistent basis, are there really heads rolling in the ivory towers of the administration and the Board of Regents? I'm sure they're upset. I'm sure they don't like this product as much as we do. But are we really imposing our will on them like we could? I don't know. I'm gonna get off my little pedestal here of frustration.
Yeah, it's just a soapbox. Soapboxes are good. You're not on
my
a
little
pedestal.
soapbox. My little soapbox is running. It's running short. I don't need to be up there for too long. But I just think I'm at that point now where I don't care. I'm gonna watch the games because if we win, all right, sweet. I need to be there to witness that. But I don't expect us to win. I really don't. I have zero expectation to win games anymore. I can't wait to have our postseason powwow with the cousins and just absolutely just have the worst time ever. And just really be able to reflect back. And I will say now, cousins, if you're listening to this, I don't expect you to be, but it doesn't mean that you're right that we suck this bad. It just means that your guys' pessimism is paid off. We'll just put it that way. You guys weren't right. I was clearly right. 8-4. We would have been 8-4 if we just would have won 8 games. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's easy. You were so close to being right, and who knows? 7-5 isn't out of the cards.
No,
I mean, you're still
it's
2
close
games.
to
It's
8-4.
mathematically possible. Is it likely? I'm not sure. But it's certainly mathematically possible. And 7-5 was my floor, and I think it was yours too when we did our Rule 8 versus reality picks. So, if we still hit the floor, it's how we've played. It's the crazy, weird game management stuff that Rule does that for me, I just don't understand the logic of, oh, okay, we're going to line up and we're going to see, and then, oh, let's call a timeout. And then we'll go ahead and run the offense back out there and see if we get the right look. Oh, no, we didn't. Let's take a delay a game. Now let's punt. And by the way, they get the ball right on the 15-yard line instead of where you could have placed them inside the 10 if you didn't let the clock run out. And son of a gun, if they don't drive 85 yards and score what ultimately ended up being the 1-score win. So it's that stuff. It's the guys that are there to make plays, which you're going to probably go over some of those as far as the defense is concerned. The Keystone Cops routine, the bouncing, bubbling, hot game of hot freaking potato that it seems this defense likes to play when the footballs come in their direction. With the exception of Sierra Wright, it's just like, I mean, 3 plays on defense could have completely changed the complexion of this game if that ball just bounces just an inch or two one way or the other, So, but anyway, it's crazy. Drives me nuts. I'm with you on the whole. I'm not going to another game in Lincoln, not until I know this team is bowl eligible. Now, if they get bowl eligible on Saturday or by some miracle in Iowa City after Thanksgiving, then yeah, I'll buy tickets next year because they got bowl eligible.
Yep.
But if they don't, I'm not buying anything next year until they've got that 6th win in their pocket. Then I'll go. You can call me a bad fan. I don't care. In fact, I know a couple of years ago, I went off on a rant against people that feel the way I do now. And to those of you I went off on a rant with, I never named anybody, but to those of you that I did, if you're listening still to us, thank you. We appreciate it. I apologize. I was wrong, dead wrong. So this is how I'm fanning. I'm choosing not to pump my own money into gear or into game tickets until I see a reason to. And at this point, I don't. And it's not on the players. I think guys can step up and make plays. Yes. But I wonder if there's some playmakers just sitting on that bench right now that should be in there playing. I don't know. One of them maybe wears number 10 because number 15 needs to sit down and watch, maybe just for a series. Give him a freaking series, coach. Just one. Let's see what happens. Let Harburg show maybe that he's improved and maybe he's our best shot to win that 6th game. I don't know. I'm not the only one that thinks that out in the Husker podcast land, which, by the way, it seems to have multiplied exponentially this year. There's so many new YouTube shows and stuff out there. There's a lot of good content out there, guys. And it's spreading. The audience is a little thin, I do believe. So it is what it is. We appreciate all of you who have stuck with us and keep watching us every week. We really do. It means a lot to us. So jump in, Scott. What do you got on the defense?
Well, it stinks because going into the season, my thought was if the defense takes a small step back, I think we're a good defense. Unfortunately, I think now being 10 games into the season, it's pretty safe to say that the overall volatility of the defense, how we can play some ways really, really well at times, but then we just look lost at other times. Guys are not in the right positions, or, from the coaching side of things, Coach B, I'm sure you could probably speak in an authoritative way to this. Sometimes there's just, there's just the wrong play call on defense for preventative measures. And then I think there's just a lot of, maybe it is one of those things that Tony White has made his schemes known, and coaches have learned how to scheme against them. And it's just made our team look a lot worse than it did last year. I still hold true to my opinion that I think on paper, our defense looked pretty good last year. Very good, statistically really good. But I'm still seeing kind of the things that made me concerned about the defense last year as I'm seeing this year. Lots of soft holes that can be exploited. Lots of areas where our guys can get beat by good schemes, good route running. And then just the lack of blitzing, that because it's a 3-3-5, like we're getting blown up at the line of scrimmage. It's really just a fact. I'd be curious to see. I need to look and see this stat. What is the average yards per carry for a running back against this defensive line? All things considered, like you've got to account for sacks, all the sacks that we've gotten, all of the times where I think it's like feast or famine. It's either we're getting a TFL behind the line of scrimmage or they're blowing up for 7 yards per run. That's what it seems like to me. And in this game, I think this game was a perfect representation of how volatile our defense is. We get some situations, some good looks. We exploit them. They look amazing. Our defense looks like they're about to set the world on fire. And then suddenly the next series that they're out on the field, they just get pile driven down the field. And like you alluded to earlier, I mean, the football gods are just against Nebraska. You remember, I think I jinxed us. You remember during the Colorado game, how I made the grandiose claim that, hey, the football gods might be looking in our favor now, because remember that pass that we threw down the field, it bounced off of, I believe it was Sanders, and then back into our receiver's arms, and we got a touchdown from that. Like, those are the plays that we don't normally get. Maybe the football gods are looking favorably upon Nebraska, but as the season has progressed, we've seemed to reinvite the ghost of Husker past, where the balls just seem to bounce in the worst way possible and end up in the other team's hands, or we just don't come down with it. And it's just frustrating. This defense looks soft. It looks exploitable. It looks like a defense that can get blown out 56-7 by an Indiana team that is competent and just makes good play calls and plays fundamental football. I think we've just gotten lucky in a lot of ways. It just seems, like I said, I don't know any other way to describe it, but it just seems like a defense that you can't trust. When they look good, they look good.
Yeah.
But when they look bad, they look really bad. But they're never one or the other. They're always a little bit of both every game. And it's just it's the reason why it's one of the reasons why we keep losing games. Obviously the offense is one whole thing. I'll let you go into all that, but that's my thoughts on the defense. It's a volatile defense. I don't think it's that good this year. I think it's a little bit of both. I think two things can be true at once. The Big Ten offensive coordinators have figured out how to exploit a lot of Tony White's scheming. And then I think our defense just isn't that good anyway. Good defenses are consistent defenses. That's one thing about Iowa that you can give them good credit for, is that they are a fundamentally sound defense. They're not flashy. They're not crazy. They're just sound, fundamental defense, and that pays dividends over years and years and years of installing a culture
they have been
pride in
regularly
their
good.
defense. They've been regularly good, and the times where they get blown up are usually against teams that are just incredibly talented, like Michigan in years past, Ohio State in years past, Penn State's in years past. They've had some games where they get blown out, but generally their defense keeps them in every game that they play. Yep. But enough about Iowa. Nebraska's defense, not that great.
Well,
It's unfortunate.
you asked the question about average yards, and I know it's probably not. It's counting for sacks and the yardage, but it does for everybody else too. So Nebraska is 6th in the Big Ten at 3.53 yards per carry is what they average giving up. They're also since you mentioned Iowa is at 3.84, so they're 10th in average yards per carry in the Big Ten. So
Yeah,
I think they're a
that's
little
one of
better
those.
against the pass, but
That's
Nebraska
one
is
of
also
those.
6th in yards per game, and Iowa's 9th. So,
I
but
think
yeah, that also
that's.
figures in sack
I
yardage, which there's been some, but they didn't get any. I don't think they got any sacks on Saturday. So
but I think
that's
that's
probably
the.
why that inflated that rushing number a little bit to
I would like to
186.
see it. I would like to see it on a play-to-play basis. Like if there's a dynamic stat analysis that you could do where it's like,
No,
okay,
that I can't go.
when like let's just say we take the number 3.5, right? And if we were to extrapolate it out using
Mhm.
two methodologies, what was the ceiling of yards per run that was allowed average? And then what was the floor of yards allowed average? And I think I would prove my point pretty well that it's either we
Feast or
are
famine.
stuffing them or they're
Mhm.
getting 7-8 yards a chunk. And that would average out at about 3.5, 4 yards per carry if my
Yep.
theory is correct. Because that's what I've
Yep.
been seeing all year. So if people listening right now are seeing the same thing I'm seeing, awesome. If you're not, like, humble me, please. But that's what I felt like I've seen this year is that even though statistically our rushing defense looks pretty
Mhm.
good, it just seems like when it matters the most, we're allowing these chunk yards. We're allowing chunk plays to happen on our defense when it comes to the rush.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
completely I hear you completely, and especially USC, they were running that same play over and over and over again in the second half, especially, and it just gashed us. And how we didn't the thing that I've noticed, and it's frustrating to me, and I don't know, maybe it's something to do with what Coach BA said in the chat a minute ago. He mentioned that we aren't calling plays with the same aggression as Tony White did last year, which sucks. But I wonder if that happened with the scheme change. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Coach B. I thought we're still running a 3-4 or a 3-3-5, but if we've changed the scheme in some way, maybe John Butler's had some stuff that has been implemented into the scheme, and that's maybe affected the back end a little bit. I know one thing: Isaac Gifford ain't tackling like he was last year. He's getting run over a lot. So for me, this defense is certainly the rankings, the numbers, the raw numbers is still performing adequately well, but when it matters, it doesn't. When we don't need to give up an 85-yard drive because we're only down by 1 point, we give up a freaking 85-yard drive. So,
hey, Moonbot.
but yeah,
I wanted to say hi to Moonbot. One, you changed your profile picture, which is crazy because I think you've had the same profile picture since I first ever interacted with you years and years and years ago.
yes.
And two, how are we feeling, Moonbot? How are we feeling about the season so far?
Well, we know how he's feeling, but as far as the season goes, BA says they ran power counter. I thought that was kind of the scheme I was seeing too. They would slant one way and then they'd kind of counter off of it. So, and now that Marks is no joke as a running back. That dude's big, he's strong, he's fast. Kind of reminded me a little
tactician.
bit, and I know it's really high praise, but his running style, his strength, and his ability to make people miss, and his speed reminded me a little bit of LP back in the day, watching Phillips run. So,
Oh, I was thinking
um,
of Abdullah.
Abdullah, yeah, he's got some of that in him too. Is he just a
He's a
little
little
bit
bit bigger
bigger?
though.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little thicker. But BA says it's
Uh,
still a 3-3-5, but much less cover one, cover three, and cover zero, which is what his defense was built on. Are they running more man scheme, Coach, than your typical? Are those zones the cover 1, 3, and 0? I'm assuming are zones.
yeah, those are zones.
But yeah, good to see Moonbot.
Yeah, I know I don't look very recognizable. For those who are listening to the podcast right now, I have shaved my mustache. It's been something I've had pretty regularly for the last 4 years, and I shaved it. And I don't plan on growing it back for a while. I just for personal reasons, I have a little bit of an OCD problem with it where I'm just constantly touching it all the time to the point where I just had to stop because it was just driving me nuts. I need to figure out how to like fix that.
I was always doing this with mine, even though I've still got it technically with the goatee, but I don't do this all the time anymore. It's weird.
I just have this problem where, like, if one hair was doing the wrong thing, it would drive me nuts. It would drive me nuts. If it was aimed upward, I would just look at it and like, get down, you little son of a gun. But yeah, so I shaved it. I'm just I'm gonna do some self-help, like figure out, why am I picking at my mustache? Is it because of the corn huskers? Most likely. I imagine it has something to do with the subconscious or conscious stress. Don't know, but we're gonna take a break with the mustache for a while.
There you go. BA says we're running more match quarters in Tampa 2, which is what Butler ran in Buffalo. And when he was at DC, it just hasn't been a good fit, which if you remember, Ken, I had questions about in July. Yes, I do remember, Coach. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Speaking of defense, we're pretty much done. We're about ready to move on to the offense. Let's throw up Coach BA's defensive breakdown. I just downloaded these just now, so I haven't seen them. I have no idea what play this is. So here we go. This is Coach BA's breakdown. Make sure you're following him at the BA Coaches Show on YouTube, and don't miss his appearances every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on Sharp and Hanley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, so we're going to double up on some defense as well. Not good, man. Okay, first thing I want to point out right away is, hold on, sorry. We're in our 4-man front, right? Jack linebacker walked up, 3 down linemen. We are in zone. The way you can tell we're in zone here is we're not running with him. We're just pushing everyone off. And then at the snap of the ball, everyone's eyes are in here at the quarterback, right? Everyone. I got to say, Malcolm Hart. So we're in cover 3. Malcolm Hartzog. Holy cow. If Mayava would have just thrown this ball, we'd be in some serious trouble because Hartzog got burnt. So we're in zone. Just kind of wanted to point that out for you guys if you guys aren't, able to tell. Kind of look at the rotation in the eyes. Okay, Hartzog is at least going to get back there. Man, this was so close to being a sack. I hate to because this was – come on, we got to just make it. We just got to make it. Put all your weight into it. We just can't be reaching. I know it's much easier to say sitting here on my couch. I'm just saying. I feel like that's a play we got to make. I got to point this out. I hate to pick on Tommy Hill because I know he's battling through injuries. Okay? I do. I hate to pick on him. But to me, this isn't kind of an injury situation. How's he behind you? How is he behind you? I know Rule made some comments in this press conference on Monday, a few hours before I'm recording this. He made a comment about secondary not playing well. This is one of these plays. Again, I hate to pick on him because of injury, but he can't get behind you like that, man. He just can't. I'm sorry. He can't get behind you on that play. That's like 101. You don't have anyone. I know Gifford's right there. Gifford's supposed to be taking this middle of the field, and he can kind of drift depending on the routes. But, man, that's a heck of a play by number 2. He had a heck of a game, but it's ridiculous. Then the second play I want to show you is kind of an effort thing to me. And, again, I know battling injuries, I get it. But if this is the best effort we can get on the field, then this is bad. Because we schemed this well. Play action. They're going to throw the bubble screen. We have the numbers. We do. We have the numbers. Gifford does a great job taking this lead block on to give us exactly what you want. When you're talking about defending this bubble screen right here, this is exactly how we'd want it. We'd want the safety to take on the block in the corner. It's kind of a crack block coming in. This is how we want it. This is the situation. We should be making that play at the 6, maybe the 5, but instead it's kind of the Matador Olay type of behavior here, right? Again, I know we're battling injury, but man, we got to make that play. We've got to make that play. It is what it is. I'll play it for you guys in full speed, but yeah, that's going to be the BA breakdown this week. Just It's tough to find some highlights because, especially defensively, we just couldn't get off the field at points, man. That was a heck of a play. We just can't let them get behind, though. That's the problem. Just can't let them get behind. And then the second one's the one that really gets me. Just frustration. Yep.
Well, there you go. Those were the. I wondered if that wasn't the plays he wasn't going to pull out, just because, you didn't see a whole lot of Tommy Hill after that. That was also the drive post Sierra Wright's interception for a touchdown. And I believe, if we remember right, I think we heard it on that Sierra Wright, or I read it on Twitter, that Sierra did not come back on the field to play that side of the field because he was still on the sidelines catching his breath from the interception. I believe he deals with some athletic asthma, I think. So that was probably why he was not on the field at that time, and Hill was, which is kind of unfortunate. But also, Coach, I don't remember if you were the one that pointed this out on Twitter or it was somebody else, but there was another angle to that long pass play that was completed that it appears the receiver actually went out of bounds first and came back in. So it should have been an illegal touching penalty. Yet again, another example of Big Ten referees doing the fine job that they do, which is completely and thoroughly bend over a Nebraska team that needs all the help it can get to win as it is. It doesn't need no help from the refs. So, but there you go. Yeah, that was effort to me. It looked like, I don't know, it looked like Tommy was trying to push off of that foot to try to get to the spot to make a play, and it looks like he kind of held up and just reached out because, like, ow, this hurts. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him too much, but that was certainly an effort problem for sure.
Yep.
Hey, Justin's here. Good to see you, Justin. Thank you for popping in tonight. And he can't see anything. Why can't you see anything? I don't know. I don't get it, Justin. I don't get it. Let's move on to the offense. Let's see here. We have got, let's see, where do I got there's my notes. Nebraska put up a total of 310 yards, 4.92 yards per play, 191 of that being passing, which was 5 yards per attempt, 7 yards per completion on average, 119 rushing, 4.8 yards per rush, 13 total points on offense, 28 minutes, 10 seconds time of possession. So that means USC only had the ball 4 more minutes than we did. We should have done better. With the amount of drives we had 11 drives on Saturday. First drive was 6 plays, 14 yards and a punt. Second drive, 5 plays, 21 yards and a punt. Third drive, 9 plays, 75 yards and a touchdown and a 29-yard pass to Emmett Johnson. And that's it, folks. No more touchdowns to be had. Fourth drive was 5 plays, 40 yards, INT by Dylan. Bad throw, wrong coverage. They were driving. Looked like we could go right back down and score again. But nope. Fifth drive, 3 plays, 1 yard and a punt, and then 1 play, 2 yards right before halftime. So, yeah, that's basically it. They had a great drive opening the third quarter, 11 plays, 64 yards, just couldn't get it done in the red zone. So we had a field goal, 4 plays, 23 yards, and then a punt. That was after the fumble recovery. So that was a pain. We get inside the red zone again, and yet again, we can't figure out how to score. 4 plays, 4 yards on the ninth drive, and that's where you got your field goal. 4 plays, 15 yards and a punt, 13 plays, 56 yards and an interception at the end of the game, which we all know interference should have been called. It wasn't. It is what it is. Nebraska just has to play better than the refs referee a game. As simple as that. And they didn't. They simply didn't. I saw some things that were better. I saw Dylan get the ball out a little quicker, but when it came to trying to find a guy a little further down the field, he held the ball way too long. There was some missed guys. I know everybody's talking about the one pass to Emmett that was like a 3-yard loss when he had Jamal Banks wide open, heading down the left side of the field, could have easily scored right there at the end of the game. He missed that. Put a little mustard on that ball that got intercepted when Jamal got yanked on by the jersey, and maybe he has a chance to get to that ball. I don't know. But man, the graphic I put up on the intro video is the same one that everybody has put up on Twitter, where you see his nameplate, the jersey is stretched so far the banks is clear over on his right shoulder pad, But that wasn't the egregious part of the hold. The egregious part of the hold was right after the ball gets in the air. You see him literally get yanked almost by a horse collar and yanked completely to the right. And then the guy lets him go. And, but at that point, his momentum is shot. He's lost his balance. He has no way of getting back to the football. So that's the spot that the flag should have been thrown. But it wasn't. So the offense showed signs. When you consider that this was the first week of Dana calling plays, this is the first week that you saw at least Jamal Banks and Naor looked like they wanted to engage on the blocks a little bit more. I know I read some sound bites some text from some sound bites from Dana Holgorsen that one of the first things he noticed was these dudes are big out there on the edge. It's absolutely unacceptable and pathetic the way they block downfield. So he wasn't fooling around. He knew what needed to be fixed, and it looks to me like it's on its way to be fixed. So I was excited to see that. Was a good effort in some ways, but in others, there's the red zone woes. The red zone woes. I mean, that should be 28 points on the board. We should have been tied going toward the end of the game. We really should have. There's no reason we had to kick 2 field goals. Not when you get a fumble. And Bayor, keep your feet, dude. Looks like you could have kept your feet and scored on that fumble recovery, but he just couldn't. Got him tangled up. So is what it is. But that's kind of my thoughts on the offense. It wasn't pretty, wasn't great, but it wasn't Satterfield awful, if that's a good way to put it. I mean, didn't have to watch Zach call plays. So to me, that's an improvement.
Yeah, I'm not an X's and O's guy. But based on my observation, there was a noticeable pattern of play calling scheme that I know that obviously Holgorsen, he basically was given Sat's playbook and was like, you got to make whatever you can work out of this. And it just appeared to be a little bit more, there was a lot more continuity with how the play calls were made. It didn't just seem so random. It always seemed like when Sat was making play calls, they were just random. He was just randomly selecting a play out of his playbook because he had no idea how to stack plays in a way that is conducive with having success. And it just seemed like, just from my amateur perspective, that play calling on offense, while it wasn't Holgorsen's playbook at all, he understood what he needed to do to make the playbook work better. Yeah, there were some things that I was like, why are you calling this? But at the same time, I kind of gave Holgorsen some grace that it's like, yeah, I see that, screens have not been necessarily bread and butter, let's say. But I want to see it for myself. I need to see them in live action, not just from film. I just need to call these plays and just see, what does it look like? What do these guys look like when I play out the things that I think look best and in the best order that I can make them? And so with that, I was I don't want to say impressed, but I was hesitantly pleased is, I guess, the way I would describe it.
Spoken like a true Husker fan who's just numb to it all. Oh, okay. Yeah, kind of pleased.
Yeah, as like all things considered, it felt and looked minusculely better. I want to see
after
some more
1 week.
results.
What can you really expect, though? Too,
yeah, in 1 week.
I get it.
1 week, I'll say this: I wasn't expecting much. Heck, my expectation was, even with a new offensive coordinator, my best guess would be that I don't see anything change at all. The only thing I was expecting was that the order at which calls were played were going to look different. And I was correct about that. But the thing that I was happy with was that it seemed like things were schemed up to be a little bit more of a symphony. It was like a well orchestrated event that, given the context, I mean, how can you expect to be putting together a world-class orchestra when you're given basically a Rust Belt school band, like all things considered, it seemed like Holgorsen was doing things that made a little bit more sense. It's just the execution side of things still was what it was. I'd say that I would give the play calling a pretty good grade. The execution, on the other hand, not so
Needs
great.
work. Yeah.
And I'm pretty well ensconced in the idea that, yes, Emmett Johnson is our better running back than Dante Dowdell. Just simply because of vision. It looks like EJ is a little bit better at seeing the play progress and is able to use it to his advantage. He's a little bit more shifty, is able to make last-second decisions and move in a direction that's more conducive with success. And it just seems like Dante Dowdell kind of needs everything to fall in place for him in order for it to be successful. He doesn't seem like he has great instincts. And I think you made this comment when we were sitting there, or whenever it was. You made a comment. I don't remember when it was, but it really does just seem like he just runs into things. Like, that is his MO. If something's in front of him, he's running into it. He's like a matador. He is just I'm gonna run into all the things. If it's red, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
Which in some ways can be fun, like when he straight up murdered Shiloh Sanders. That was pretty fun. But what I wanted him to do was make a little cut and get around him. I mean,
Cut and score.
All he had to do was just cut, and we would have gotten in the end zone quicker than we did in that drive. But yes, all things considered, the offense looked a little bit better. So I'll give him that. Now let's keep that up.
Mm-hmm. I found it on Twitter. It was something Coach BA actually shared, I believe. It is. Nebraska OC Dana Holgorsen. This is from Luke Mullen on Twitter at LJS Luke. So works for the Journal Star, I'm assuming. Nebraska OC Dana Holgorsen said last week was the best perimeter blocking the Huskers have shown all year. After he told the wide receivers they wouldn't play without blocking, Holgorsen says, I said, you guys are fairly big kids. Why are you not blocking on the perimeter? It's embarrassing.
Yes, I did. I did watch a little bit of that press conference.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, I hadn't had a chance.
I watched bits. I was a little bit hung up with a project at work, and I couldn't go through it.
So
I wanted to, but I couldn't.
There's some staff evaluation. Somebody said that in a comment below that tweet too. There's some serious staff evaluation I think Rule's going to need to do. If a guy from the outside has to come in and grab the two biggest wide receivers by the front of their jerseys and go, why the hell aren't you blocking? When there's been evidence for 10 weeks now that they haven't been, why is it taking an outside guy to see that? Why can't the head coach see it? Why can't the receivers coach who's supposed to be coaching it see it? And why are these guys, I hate to say it, but are they beholden to the NIL? Are they like, well, we brought you here, you're making the money, we got to play you? No, you don't. No, you don't. There's nothing that says you have to. I mean, for crap's sake, get somebody out there that actually blocks on the perimeter. I don't care if he's 175-pound, Jalen Lloyd. If he's blocking, he's blocking.
Yep.
So, Dowdell was an Olympic hurdler in another life. He's either running through you or jumping over you. Yes, this is true. Or he's just running right straight up the back of you like he seems to do when he's anticipating a hole being where it doesn't end up being. At least that's what it looks like to my eyes. Dowdell is great in two-back sets, 21 or 22 personnel, and when the running concept is a fast-hitting play. The slower developing plays aren't working with him. Yeah.
That is correct.
That is very true.
Well said. That is exactly what I was thinking.
Coach. Thank you. We appreciate that.
You have the language for it, though.
We've got an offensive breakdown. I'm not sure what play this is, but I have a feeling It's a fairly long one. So here we go. Coach BA Coach's Show on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. 1620 to the Zone at 8 a.m. every Monday with Sharp and Hanley. He breaks down the games. So get him followed. He's got good stuff.
All right, guys, it was kind of hard to find some good offensive highlights to show. Not necessarily because the offense was terrible. Wasn't great. It was just hard to find a good play to break down. So I got two quick ones for you, kind of back to back, just because I want to showcase some things with Dana Holgorsen that he did, because I think one of the biggest things that Dana Holgorsen is doing in this offense is he is going to get the ball to the players that he likes and be creative in ways we get them the ball. That's kind of some air raid coaching 101. That's honestly how we should be doing a lot of things, but just kind of wanted to showcase some of that. So first thing we got to point out here is he decides he saw something in film and practice, whatever, that wants Bonner to get the ball more. I am all for that. 100% all for Bonner getting the ball more. Offensive line does a good job kind of creating the wall here, just trying to get those D linemen upfield. It's going to be a super big breakdown. Just kind of wanted to show some things because, one, we want to get Bonner the ball out here. I also want to point out we've been giving perimeter blocking a whole bunch of credit, a whole bunch of flack, particularly Jamal Banks. I want to give him credit here because, hey, that was pretty good. I know that he kind of lets the guy free, but he doesn't really make the play. He did a job. He slowed that guy down just enough. He slowed that guy down just enough to make that play. So that was really good. Then I got another play I would like to show you guys. Because, kind of going off of what I just said with we want to get our playmakers the ball in creative ways. Sometimes it's about the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's. We want to get our guys the ball. The other huge staple of the air raid, which some people are a little misinformed about, and that's okay. The air raid for the offense, one of the biggest staples of the offense isn't necessarily throwing the ball 100 times a game, right? It's going to be making the job of the quarterback super easy, super simple reads. And we see that here on this play. This is already some shades of kind of new things from the air raid, adding some new wrinkles here. Okay, so we got the drag route coming across. It's supposed to kind of create a rub. I think the first read coming off, just looking at eyes here, obviously you're going to have a whole shot, but that's not there. I think we're kind of looking here, trying to get the ball, but they do a good job staying flat. So I think we had two options here. Based on what this player's doing right here, if he was moving, he wasn't flat-footed, I think the plan is to hit Jamal Banks sitting right here. I think that's probably the check down. But since we got flat-footed and the guy we really want to get the ball to, Emmett Johnson, again, creative ways to get your playmakers the ball. Hits it to him in stride because that guy, when he's standing flat-footed, he just can't get there in time. See, he tries to reroute Fedoni. Good job, but then he's just not quick enough to get there in time. And now it's off to the races. And this was a great play. I think we already saw some good shades of Dana Holgorsen. It was kind of a little bit of a mesh concept. You don't really see this very much because they didn't quite match up the way you would on mesh. But I do like this drag coming and then the running back coming from the inside. You just don't see that very much. And again, creative ways to get your playmaker the ball. It's a little bit of a mesh concept, but play those for you guys in full speed, and hopefully you guys see some of these things. And offense, okay, there's shades. There's something there. I'm not going to say it was great, but there's something there. Boom, right out of the backfield. I love that play. That was really good.
Yep. Thank you for the breakdown, Coach. I completely spaced seeing Jamal Banks there in the middle, kind of in a rub situation. It's things we haven't seen yet this year, and the fact that Holgorsen was able to install that play, teach it, and get Dylan to read it quickly and understand where to go with the football so quickly. 1 week, week and a half, whatever it was, he's actually been the OC. That shows you he's got some coaching acumen. Gives me hope for what's coming up this week with Wisconsin, that maybe just maybe we could see a few more wrinkles that Dylan can do that maybe can produce a few more points this coming Saturday. So, because Wisconsin's got a brand new OC, guy who's never called plays before in major college football, as the tight ends coach, because they fired Phil Longo. So what's Wisconsin going to run? Don't know, but would be really nice to see.
I do just want to say,
Holgerson can do. Yeah, go ahead.
I think if I were to put all my chips in Holgerson, not being able to change the playbook much, but changing the personnel dynamics, I think we're probably, if we'll give him the eyes to see things the way that we do, like Justin pointed out, that everybody and their mother has pointed out that Emmett Johnson is clearly the better of the two when it comes to just the every down back. I think we're probably going to see a lot more Janaran Bonner. We're going to see a lot more Emmett Johnson, and we're going to see a lot more Jalen Lloyd. Yeah. Because those were the three guys on the offense that I thought looked like the Jimmies and Joes that Coach BA was talking about. And if Banks and Nair can get better at perimeter blocking, I mean, sure, we can see more of them, but I would not be surprised if we start seeing a lot more other guys getting a lot more looks and a lot more schemes that are deliberately giving them more opportunities. Justin pointed out the fact that, we went from, what did you say? 30-something% play action, 37% play action a week ago to 9% or 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and 9% this game. I think that's a direct result of that. We have a new offensive coordinator. He's going to play things a little bit differently, and he's going to have a fresh look on things. It's like, I mean, like our friend, we have a friend, a mutual family friend of ours. His whole job is to go into industries, go into businesses, and examine what parts of their company are holding them back. What, because it's the what is the term? What is the term where it's you just get a fresh set of eyes on things and they can see things from a new perspective. And having this guy come in,
outside consultant.
He has no preconceived notions about any of these players. He just sees them for what they are as he sees them. And I think that we're going to see, his first game as OC, he's just kind of like, all right, I'm going to take whatever it was you were doing and I'm going to play with it as it is. And then I'm going to throw in some guys that I've seen in practice for a little bit. And I'm going to see how they do in live action. And then next week, when we play Wisconsin this week, I'm going to do a little bit more of the shifting things around, moving personnel around that make a little bit more sense to him. So I think we're going to see this week, and then especially Iowa, I think we're going to see a completely different offense, not in results, not in schemes, just in what personnel are we seeing regularly rotating in and out. I think we're going to see a lot more variety, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're going to see more variety. I think you're going to see, like BA pointed out, the simpler reads, the quicker ability for Dylan to get the ball out of his hands because he doesn't have as many things to process. I think you could see a few more wrinkles thrown into the passing game. I know Holgerson, from a lot that I've read about him, he loves the mesh concepts. He loves the concept of being able to bring a bunch of receivers together. Yeah, you went by. All of a sudden, I looked up and you were gone. That was a little weird.
Button on my mouse that if I press it, it goes back or forward, and it's so easy to press. And I did that.
We'll see.
I backspaced.
It's all good.
You were saying something about Holgerson? Yeah.
Yeah, what? Holgerson. I think you're going to see some new concepts with them. You're going to see probably some more mesh routes, some more things where guys are all kind of crisscrossing to kind of get some guys open. Because I know that's one of the staples of his air raid system, at least that I had read from the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing a few more tweaks. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing 21, 16, and 19 on the field a little bit more. I really am. And who knows? Maybe somebody like a Ja'Cory Barney is going to finally get wide open on a go route because there's a bunch of other stuff going on underneath them, and Dylan will have just enough time to find him, because as Justin mentioned earlier, this was the highest graded offensive line pass blocking game that this offensive line has had so far. Says something about what Holgerson's doing is helping protect them at the same time. So let's move on. Let's jump into who our game MVP is. I think it's everybody's pretty much. It's Sierra Wright. Went home, played in the stadium that he'd been playing in before he transferred here. He had a pick six, a blocked field goal, and 4 tackles. So congratulations, Sierra. If you happen to be watching, the coolest home studio-led podcast on Husker and Husker Nation, thank you. Thank you for your service on Saturday. You did a great job. It was so good to see you play with your guts hanging out. It was awesome. You gave every effort that we expected. So thank you. That was great. Holgerson used the short. Yeah. Justin says, especially short middle way more. Satterfield was always trying to go intermediate to deep mid without setting it up. Yep. Kind of the whole, let's throw this against the wall and see what sticks. Whereas it looked like Holgerson was trying to use the pass. Maybe the reason that the play action dropped a little bit, correct me if I'm off kilter here, but maybe the reason that the play action dropped to 9% instead of 37% was he was trying to throw the ball to get the safeties backed up so he could start running it a little bit more effectively. So he didn't need to use play action, which then once you run it a little bit, then you can add a couple of play action passes in there and they don't know what the blazes just hit them. So thank you. Thank you guys for the comments. We really appreciate that. I think that'll help us a ton to open up the explosive plays again. Yeah, starting short, keeping everybody cheated up, and then you can send somebody deep. Great minds think alike, Justin. I was just typing up a similar comment. Couple of football guys in the chat. If anything, guys, if you watch our show, participate in the live chat, you're going to learn a ton from guys like Justin and Coach BA. That's why we love having them in our chat, and hopefully we'll have them on the show again real soon. In Colorado, I would call it extremely successful year. I forgive all blunders, says Ted Hilker. If we could somehow beat Wisconsin and Iowa, that would be pretty cool. I would feel a little better. That's for sure. I'd rename this season the Revenge Tour. Well, it wasn't all that long ago we actually beat Iowa, and it would be pretty cool to beat them on their turf again. That would be kind of neat. Methodics, I don't know if that I'd forgive everything, but I'd definitely leave the season feeling better about next year. Absolutely. I think everybody would. That's a great comment. We really appreciate it. So let's move on and take a look at Wisconsin. We won't spend too much time here. It's the battle of the 5 and 5s. Who gets bowl eligible first? With Luke Fickle's seat getting warm, along with Matt Rule's starting to feel a little bit of warmth under his as well. Both making changes recently at offensive coordinator. For me, the player to watch for Wisconsin, I'm not going to really jump into all that many stats. They're fairly similar to Nebraska's. We're basically a mirror image. Be curious to see what they do on offense. I have no idea. Are they going to keep all that Phil Longo stuff, or are they going to go back to being what Wisconsin used to be? Maybe simple, dumb things down, make it a little simpler. I don't know. But the guy I'm watching on defense is Hunter Wohler. He's got 63 tackles, 44 of them solo, and he's knocked down 6 passes. He has no sacks and he has no interceptions. But as would be the most Nebraska thing that could possibly happen, the one thing Hunter's probably going to do this week is he's probably going to get a sack and he's probably going to get a strip, recover the fumble, all that, or he might get an interception, because that's just the perfectly Nebraska thing to have happen on Saturday. But is there a player for the Wisconsin offense that has you a little concerned?
Well, any of their quarterbacks. I just read something that it looks like Fickle is pretty set on Braden Locke being the guy. When it was definitely in the question that their third stringer might take some snaps, but it's just in a situation like this where we're facing a team that has a lot of questions on offense and their quarterback room has been volatile to no end. That just seems like a recipe for Heisman level productivity on the offense. It just has always been that way for Nebraska. If we are playing a team that has questions at quarterback, we get their best damn game all year. And so it's just going to be my question. The room that I'm going to be paying the most attention to is, can we limit the efficiency of Wisconsin? Is that something we can do?
Good question. Yep.
They've got a lot. They're in the same situation we are. They're basically throwing a Hail Mary at their offense to hope that something changes. Because their offense has kind of been their Achilles heel, but at the same time, I mean, they've put up crazy numbers against some teams, They beat the same Rutgers that we only beat by 7 points. We beat them 14-7. They absolutely clobbered them 42-7.
Yeah.
They didn't put up, and then they got 42 points put up on them by Iowa. It's just, they've just been an incredibly volatile team. They put up 52 points against Purdue. I mean, when you look at their win-loss record, and then you look at the scores next to them without knowing any context of any of those games, you're like, what the heck is this team doing? What are they doing? And so Nebraska, what I want to see is Nebraska going to be able to keep them in that state of chaos? Can we for once see them, the team that we're playing, look disjointed, look uncomfortable? They make lots of mistakes. They have no rhythm. Can we finally see that as a fan base, that when we're playing against a team where all the chips are stacked in our favor, that it actually ends up that way? I would love to see that. And so I'm going to pay attention to their quarterback, who, if it's Locke, then awesome. Let's pay attention to him. But if they throw in their third stringer, all right, whatever. I doubt that'll happen, but at this point, I don't care, as long as they look like the volatile and inconsistent quarterback room that they've had all year. That's what I want to see. I want to see them suck. Please don't be good. That would be bad.
Yeah. Don't be good. That would be bad. That is the understatement of the year. We should clip that. That should be like our opening statement. Don't be good. That would be bad. Kick the music.
What can I say? I'm just I'm full of eloquent words. I speak them good.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. In light of Wisconsin, I had something that I just happened to see on Twitter just a second ago. Elijah Herbal from Hale Varsity. Follow him at Herbal Essences on Twitter.
I love Elijah. He's become
dude, absolutely cracks me up.
Textbook trolling, and
he says we're on to Wisconsin week, which means it's time for another not so fun fact. Dylan Raiola was in first grade the last time Nebraska beat Wisconsin on September 29th, 2012. Yeah, so all I got to say to that is shit. I'm not sure if that's going to change this week. In fact, do you want to do a quick prediction? I've got one. I think the new OC is probably going to simplify things and commit to the run. And if they can run any kind of a counter-heavy power counter run scheme with any kind of effectiveness against this front, we could be in trouble. I've got it 17-13 Wisconsin. Dylan Raiola, they lead going into the fourth quarter, and once again, I think Raiola maybe throws an interception in a key moment late for a pick six. So Nebraska ends up dropping another heartbreaker, 17-13, and I will seriously consider drinking again, but then I will change my mind and say my life is so much better without it, and the Huskers aren't that damn important. So there you go. 17-13 Wisconsin.
All right. Well, I think Nebraska wins. And I mean that, not from like a heart standpoint. I mean that. I think we're going to see some things this week that we've kind of seen so far. We'll see some scheming things right. What I anticipate is that our offense is going to get a little bit of swagger this game. They're going to feel a little bit they're going to feel a little bit better that when they look on the film, because what they've been seeing is an incompetent, offensive coordinator, all things that have been going wrong, that even the players, even though they're young and they have to be coached, they are humans that have brains and have the capability to analyze things at a relatively decent level. And they had an offensive coordinator that, in my opinion, was just insufferable, he's just so, I don't know. Every time I'd see videos of him, he's just like this monotone, has no enthusiasm. You can't trust anything he says. You can't even tell when he's being sarcastic. He doesn't have like a presence in the room. He doesn't have a presence in the room. And I think Holgorsen, just being who he is, a guy who can just say things how they are and he sees things how they are and says how they are. I think our guys are going to just inadvertently get a little bit more confidence, just because he's going to point out all of the ways that they know they're screwing up and is going to say, hey, this is why you're screwing up. And they have either two choices: to just take it as BS, like everything that they've seen for years and years and years, or maybe they just go, you know what? Yeah, looking on this film, it looks like we kind of, like, just in one game, we can see the tangible results of just this guy being here. Maybe we need to buy into this immediately and not be skeptical, not be little negative Nancy's, little have a little tantrum and a pity party for themselves. They're just going to, I just think that this offense is going to have a little bit more swagger going into this game. And Wisconsin is just, like I said, they've been like Nebraska all year. So it's a battle of teams that don't know who they are. And if I were to take a guess which offensive coordinator is going to do a little bit of a better job in this game, I would put my money on Holgorsen. And our defense, it is what it is. It's not as good as we wanted it to be this year. But if there's an opportunity for them to exploit a downtrodden offense, it would be this game. And you've got a turnover-prone quarterback, as Justin has pointed out in the comments as well. Great thing to point out. I just see this as a game that Nebraska, if we can just do things right more often than not, I don't see any reason why we can't win this game. And so from my logical side, like my logical standpoint, I hate to say this, because actually it's my heart that wants to say we lose this game. But logically, I have to look at this game and say we probably win by a field goal. So I'm going to pick Nebraska to win 20-17.
All righty. Sounds good. I could live with being wrong. I truly could. So there you go, folks. Those are our predictions. 17-13 Wisconsin for me, 20-17 Nebraska for Scott. So with that, I think that pretty much wraps up the show. Thanks so much to everybody who's watched tonight on Twitter, YouTube. I don't think we had anybody on the Book of Faces, did we? Nope, we sure didn't. But appreciate all of you on Twitter and YouTube that have watched us. Make sure you remember to like and subscribe. Make sure that you are leaving comments on these videos after they post. Once they've been live, it helps get the video out there in the algorithm, gives people an option to see it. Also, Generation Red on your favorite podcast app is where you follow the audio for the show, which should drop tomorrow morning. Again, go to genredpod.com to pick up our brand new merch that's now available. Just click on the link in the gray bar at the top of the page. And, of course, email us at genredpod@gmail.com. You guys are awesome. Our audience is awesome. Justin, you are awesome as well. Thank you. We appreciate it. Ted, thank you so much for your contribution tonight. Coach BA, Moonbot, Methodics, everybody that has participated in the chat tonight, you guys are absolutely dynamite. We appreciate you. Scott, do you want to, I know you've done the old Twitter routine through the browser. You want to tell everybody where they can follow you?
Well, it wouldn't be a useful thing for them to do. I mean, you can follow me at Scott GenRedPod, but
so
literally
I
am just lurking. I am lurking Twitter. I am a ghost. I am just hiding in the tall grass, just waiting to strike, which I probably won't. But I'm trying to get a pulse of the world. So I am on Twitter, but not really. So you can follow me. Go for it, man. I'm not going to tell you no, but I'm not going to provide you any content of entertaining anything. So
no pictures of weird food. Not even that. I mean, come
No,
on.
no pictures of a straw at the bottom of a sink sipping up the old reward that you get after the end of your
After the
your
dishwasher's
dishes.
running.
Yeah.
Dishwasher shakes. Those are so yummy.
So
All the
yummy. Garbage
protein and
disposal slop. Slurp it right up.
oh man. So I had fun today as we're kind of wrapping up. I was able to pull down the garage door opener in the third car garage, and that was kind of
Yes.
a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Problem was the top of the door, because the thing is segmented, but it was segmented past the curve. So there's one roller above the curve. So once I pulled that segment off, on the other side, it wanted to flop down. So I'm
Yep.
like, well, this isn't going to work in the winter time to have this like 15-inch gap at the top of the door. So I've still got some of those heavy duty tarp straps, the rubber ones. So I just wrapped a bunch of them around and got it tarped back up. And I'm like, okay, that should do. I'm probably gonna go find a bracket and move the hitting cage and
Oh,
stuff away
nice.
from the garage door. I'll probably just go get a bracket and just put it up there to hold that thing in, and it should be fine. But yeah, that's
I
gonna be
finally looked
nice
at
to
those
hit that
pictures.
direction. And having no bars above or any kind of railings or anything above, we can actually hit some full-blown golf shots now
Oh, dude, I'm so
with the
stoked.
driver. So, and the new software on that new launch monitor is so sweet. It looks good. It just looks good. It plays good. It's fun. Courses are fun to play. Still trying to figure out how to set it up in such a way where the numbers are accurate enough, but there's some settings I could play with. So I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, your brother says it's the forbidden smoothie.
Yes. The forbidden
There you
smoothie.
go. I talk way too much. Mine is AM ADHD Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, you can follow him at the H-Town Husker on Twitter. And of course, the BA Coaches Show on Twitter and all your on YouTube and everywhere else. Gen Red Pod is where you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And we really appreciate it, folks. He's Scott. I am Ken. Together we're Generation Red. And we are here to chronicle Nebraska's eventual return to greatness, one podcast at a time, because there is no place like the good life.
Ooh, just mixed it up there. Iowa's corn sucks so bad. That's all I got tonight.
We appreciate you guys again. Go Big Red. God bless. And we will see you next week.
Go Big Red.